In this video we'll be looking at testing your code. So unit tests are usually the largest and fastest suite of tests in your testing pyramid, and they usually provide the greatest return on investment as they're quite easy to implement and maintain alongside adding functionality, and they greatly minimize the chances of introducing bugs as you run the full test suites before coding sessions and run it again after as well. So unit tests focus on one tiny bit of functionality to prove it's correct. So let's go ahead and create a unit test in Python. So we have a function square which takes in a number and gives back the number powered of 2. So to test this function, let's first create our test script. So we have a new file, test_square. So you can either put test in front of the module name or after the module name, and that's just a standard way of naming your test files in Python. Now Python provides us with this library called unit test, which we can use to create our unit tests. So let's import that, and we also want to import the function that we want to test. So from square, the module, let's import square. To start off with, let's create this class test square, and we want to make use of the unit test case class. So let's do unit test dot test case. Now test case provides us with various assert functions, so we can check a particular scenario is what we expect it to be. So let's check the scenario test square of number 3 and pass in self. Now the test case name should be very descriptive and can start with test. So let's check when we pass 3 to the function square we get 9 back. For that we can use the assert equals, so self.assert equal function, and the first parameter we want is what we get back from the square function when we give it 3, and then the second parameter is what we expect. So let's say we expect 9, and let's save that. Now that we have a test, let's give that a run. If we go to the folder where the files are saved, we can run python -m space unit test, and let's give that a run. And you can see that it's ran one test and it's all okay, so it's all passed. Now here we didn't specify a particular file. We can also do that, so we can specify we want to run just the test square file, and you can see it'll run that as well. So when we don't specify a file, what happens is a process called test discovery looks for all the tests and runs them from the root directory. So let's write a few more test cases. Let's test the function still works with negative numbers, so let's do def test square of negative, and this time let's check 2, so -2 self, and let's use self.assert equals again, so self.assert equal, and let's assert square of -2 is equal to 4. And now let's look at one more edge case. So what happens if we give it a string rather than an integer? So this function will raise a type error. Now to write a test to test that the square function actually raises an exception like the type error, we can use the self.assert raises function. Let's do that. So def test square type error, pass it as self. Now to use the self.assert raises, let's do with to open up a context, and let's use self.assert raises. And in there, let's pass in what we're expecting. So it's the type error that we're expecting. And in that context, we want to call our square with a string rather than an integer. So let's give it string 4. Now let's give that a run. So python -m unit test and plus enter. And you can see that it's run all 3 tests and they're all passed. So let's change the square function. And instead of x to the power of 2, let's just do multiply by 2. And you can see we ran all 3 tests and all the tests failed because now the square function doesn't actually square any of the numbers. So that's a quick intro to writing unit tests in Python using the unit test module. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll see you later.